The ship New Seoul drifted through space like a wounded bird. Captain Dae-hyun stood on the bridge watching red warning lights flash across every screen. His colony ship carried 3,000 people, all that remained from their destroyed homeworld. They had been running for months and now their ship was dying. "Captain, the quantum drive is failing," said Engineer Taemin, his voice tight with worry. "We have maybe 2 days of power left." Dr. So-jin looked up from her medical reports. "We're running out of medicine too. The children are getting sick, and I can't help them much longer." Dae-hyun closed his eyes. He had promised these people safety when they fled their burning world. Now he was watching them die slowly in the cold darkness of space. He had failed them all. "Sir," Communications Officer Hana called out. "I'm getting a signal. There's another ship nearby." On the main screen, a strange vessel appeared. It was smooth and curved, like it was made for swimming through water instead of flying through space. Blue lights ran along its hull in patterns that looked almost alive. "They're trying to talk to us," Hana said. The screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. It had large dark eyes and blue-green skin that seemed to shimmer. When it spoke, its voice was soft and musical. "Unknown vessel. This is Commander Kura Mel of the Vellani research ship Tide's Grace. We see you are in distress. Do you need help?" Dae-hyun had heard of the Vellani. They were peaceful people who lived in the oceans of their homeworld. They studied the stars but never fought wars. Most species respected them because they helped everyone and hurt no one. "Commander Kuramel, this is Captain Dae-hyun. We are human refugees from Novoterra. Our ship is failing, and we have sick people aboard." The alien's large eyes seemed to grow sad. "Novoterra? We heard of its destruction. We are sorry for your loss. Please let us help." Within hours, small Vellani ships docked with the New Seoul. The aliens that came aboard moved gracefully, their blue skin glistening under the ship's lights. They carried supplies and equipment. Taemin worked beside a Vellani engineer named Nalaven. The aliens' hands moved quickly over the human machinery, understanding it better than Taemin expected. "Your people build strong ships," Nalaven said in careful English. "With these new power cells, your drive will work again." Dr. So-jin watched Vellani medics tend to sick children. The aliens shared their medicines freely, asking for nothing in return. One small girl with fever smiled when a Vellani doctor sang to her in their musical language. "Why are you helping us?" So-jin asked Commander Kuramel. "You don't even know us." The Vellani leader tilted her head. "In the deep waters of our world, we learned that all life is connected. When we help you, we help the universe itself." The Vellani gave the humans much more than repairs and medicine. They shared their food makers, their water purifiers, and most important of all, their star maps. 3 systems from here is a world called Haven's Rest," Kuramel explained to Dae-hyun. "It has no intelligent life, but it can support your people. The soil is good, the air is clean, and there is plenty of water." Dae-hyun stared at the star charts. "This world, you could claim it for yourselves. We have our ocean world. We need no other," Kuramel said simply. "Your people have lost their home. Perhaps this can be your new one." Historian Minho recorded everything in the ship's permanent files. He wrote down every kindness, every gift, every moment of help. This was human tradition, to remember those who helped when help was needed most. "Commander Kuramel," Dae-hyun said before the aliens left. "How can we ever repay this debt?" The Vellani smiled, showing small white teeth. "There is no debt between friends. Your species shows great strength in surviving such loss. We hope you find peace among the stars, as we have found in the depths of our oceans." The New Seoul left, the meeting point with full power and renewed hope. The Vellani ships watched until the humans jumped to faster than light speed, heading for their new world. Haven's Rest was everything the Vellani had promised. Green forests covered rolling hills, and clean rivers ran to blue oceans. The air was sweet and fresh. When the first human children ran on real grass again, many adults cried with joy. They built their new city and called it New Busan. As the colony grew, they never forgot who made it possible. In the center of the main square, they built a fountain, that played the same musical sounds the Villani made when they sang. A stone marker told the story of their rescue. Dr. So-jin, now the colony's head of medicine, often stood by the fountain. She remembered the gentle alien hands that had healed human children. She remembered Commander Kuramel's kind eyes and soft voice. "We will remember," she whispered to the stars. "Humans always remember." Min-ho, now the colony's chief historian, kept detailed records of everything the Villani had done. Every schoolchild learned about the debt of honor their people owed. Every adult knew that somewhere among the stars, kind aliens had saved human lives and asked for nothing back. The colony grew strong. Humans are good at building and surviving, and Haven's Rest gave them everything they needed. But they never stopped looking up at the stars, wondering about their blue-skinned friends who swam through space as easily as through water. Captain Dae-hyun, now an old man, would often visit the fountain at night. He remembered Commander Kuramel's words about all life being connected. The humans of New Busan understood this truth now. They had been helped when they needed it most. And humans, as Min-ho wrote in his history books, never forgot a favor. Never. The debt was recorded. The kindness was remembered. And somewhere in the growing colony's heart, a promise was taking root. If the Villani ever needed help, the humans would be there, no matter what it cost. No matter how far they had to travel. This was the human way. This was who they were. The story of the Villani's kindness became legend among the colonists. Parents told their children, and those children would tell their own children. The debt would never be forgotten because humans made sure important things lasted forever. In the depths of space, on a water world far away, the Villani continued their peaceful research. Commander Kuramel sometimes thought about the human refugees they had helped. She hoped they had found happiness on their new world. She had no way of knowing that her simple act of kindness had planted something powerful in human hearts. Something that would grow and spread until it shook the very foundations of the galaxy. But that story was still to come. 25 years had passed since the new soul landed on Haven's Rest. The small colony had grown into a city of 2 million people. Tall buildings reached toward the sky, and ships landed daily at the busy spaceport. New Busan had become one of the most important trade centers in this part of the galaxy. Governor Haiwan walked through the central square, past the Villani fountain that still played its musical water songs. She had been young Dr. So-jin's assistant back then, just a medical student helping sick refugees. Now she led a world. "The quarterly reports, Governor," said her aide, handing her a data pad. The numbers were good, very good. Human factories on Haven's Rest made the best starship parts in 10 systems. Human maps guided traders safely through dangerous space routes. Other species came to New Busan to buy, sell, and make deals. But success had not made the humans forget their past. Every year on Remembrance Day, the whole city gathered around the fountain. Governor Haiwan would read the story of how the Villani saved them. Children would throw blue flowers into the water, one for each Villani who had helped their grandparents survive. Admiral Jiwoo commanded the human defense fleet from the orbital station above Haven's Rest. She kept detailed files on every species they met, trade partners, neutral parties, possible threats. She knew them all. But the Villani file was special. It was marked with a gold star and the words, "Forever Friends." Whenever Villani ships came to New Busan, they got the best docking spaces, the lowest fees, and protection from human warships during their journey. The Villani traders were always surprised by this treatment. "You honor us too much," Captain Selu-ran had said during his last visit. "The help we gave was long ago. The debt is paid." Ambassador Young-soo had smiled at the blue-skinned trader. "Friend Selu-ran, humans do not think in terms of paid debts when it comes to saving lives. You are family to us now." The Villani didn't fully understand, but they appreciated the kindness. They told other Villani about the strange humans who never forgot anything good that happened to them. On the far side of the galaxy, something dark was growing. The hegemony of Krath had been expanding for 50 years. They were an empire of insect-like creatures who believed that strong species should rule weak ones. Their ships looked like metal bugs with sharp edges and glowing red lights. General Vex Prime stood in his command center, looking at star maps. The Krath had conquered 12 systems in the past decade. Each victory made them hunger for more. What about this system? He clicked, pointing at a blue dot on the map. Aquatica Prime, the water world. His intelligence officer, Major Core 6, brought up data files. Home to the Villani species. Population 40 million. They are completely peaceful, no military to speak of. The planet has rare deep-sea minerals we need for our new weapons. Any allies? Any protection treaties? None, General. The Villani have friends throughout the galaxy, but no formal military alliances. They believe in neutrality and peaceful research. Vex Prime's compound eyes gleamed. Perfect. Begin Phase 1 operations. Make it look like trade disputes at first. We don't want to alarm their friends until it's too late. The Krath began slowly. They demanded higher taxes from Villani traders. They delayed Villani ships at checkpoints. They claimed ancient territorial rights to space routes the Villani had used for centuries. The Villani government tried to negotiate. They offered more money, alternative routes, even shared research data. They had solved problems with words and compromise for thousands of years. Violence was not in their nature. Back on Haven's Rest, Admiral Jiwoo noticed the changes in her intelligence reports. Villani ships were arriving late and looking worried. Some carried refugees, Villani families fleeing from Krath-controlled systems. Something's wrong, she told Governor Haywan. The Krath are putting pressure on Villani space. This doesn't feel like normal trade disputes. Governor Haywan studied the reports. What do our sources say? The Krath are claiming the Villani owe them money for protection services they never requested. It's an old trick. Create a debt that can never be paid, then use it as an excuse for action. In the deep oceans of Aquatica Prime, Commander Naraven swam through the crystal gardens where her people grew their food. She was the great daughter of Nalaven, the engineer who had helped repair the human ship so long ago. Like her ancestor, she believed in helping others. But the help her people needed now was beyond their abilities. The Krath were demanding impossible things. They wanted exclusive mining rights to the sacred deep trenches. They wanted Villani scientists to work only on Krath projects. They wanted the Villani to stop helping other species entirely. We cannot do these things, Elder Kelumar said at the council meeting. To give them our trenches would poison our breeding grounds. To stop helping others goes against everything we are. Then what choice do we have? Asked another elder. Naraven thought of the stories her family told about the human refugees. How scared they had been, how grateful. Perhaps we should ask our friends for help. The humans. But they are so far away, and we have no formal treaties with them. Treaties are words on metal sheets, Naraven said. What we have with the humans is stronger than treaties. But the Villani Council decided to try one more time to make peace with the Krath. They sent their best diplomats with generous offers. They hoped kindness and reason would win, as it always had before. Meanwhile, on Haven's Rest, historian Minho was updating the colony's memory files. He added every news story about Villani kindness, how they had helped a lost human freighter find its way home, how they had shared their medicine with human colonists during a plague outbreak, how they always remembered to ask about human families and human children. They still think of us as friends, he wrote in his daily report. Even after 25 years, they remember every human name, every human face. They care about us the way family cares. Admiral Jiwoo read Minho's report and felt a cold feeling in her stomach. The Krath pressure on Villani space was getting worse every week. Her intelligence network reported Krath warships moving toward the borders of Villani territory. She opened her secure communication link to Fleet Admiral Kyung-soo at Earth Command. Sir, we need to talk about the Villani situation. I think something bad is about to happen. On the water world of Aquatica Prime, Villani families went about their daily lives. They tended their sea gardens, sang their children to sleep, and studied the stars with the curiosity that defined their species. They had no idea that in the darkness between the worlds, Krath warships were moving closer. The Villani believed in the goodness of the universe. They believed that helping others would bring help in return. They believed that no species would destroy another without cause. They were about to learn how wrong peaceful people could be about the cruelty others were capable of. But they were also about to discover what it meant to have humans remember your kindness. In the depths of space, in a direction the Volani couldn't see, human ships were already moving. Admiral Jiwoo had not waited for orders from Earth Command. She had begun moving her fleet toward Volani space 3 days ago, because humans, as the old saying went, never forgot a favor, and they never let their family face danger alone. President Dongmin stood before the emergency session of the Human Colonial Alliance. Representatives from all 47 human worlds appeared on screens around the Great Hall. Some joined from their breakfast tables, others from their midnight offices. War waited for no one's convenience. Citizens of humanity, the president began, his voice carrying across light years of space. Our friends need us. The Volani, who saved 3,000 of our people 25 years ago, are under attack. They are enslaved, tortured, and dying in Krath prison camps. We must decide here and now what kind of species we are. Admiral Sunwoo's weathered face filled one screen. She commanded the frontier fleets that protected human colonies on the galaxy's edge. Mr. President, my ships are already moving toward Krath space. The frontier worlds remember the stories of Volani kindness. We vote for war. General Eun-ji, leader of the Core System Defense Forces, nodded grimly. The inner worlds agree. We've been building ships and training soldiers for 20 years. Time to find out if peace made us soft. One by one, every human world voted. The decision was unanimous. Total war against the Krath hegemony. But President Dongmin had not built humanity into a galactic power by making foolish choices. This will not be a rush for revenge, he announced. This will be war fought with human brains, not just human hearts. We will be thorough. We will be smart. And we will win completely. Intelligence Chief Boram had been working since the moment the Volani distress call arrived. Her agents throughout Krath space had been activated, and information flowed to human command centers like water through broken dams. The Krath have military strength, but they're overextended, she reported to the War Council. They've been expanding too fast. Their supply lines are weak. Their occupied worlds are restless, and their commanders don't trust each other. Dr. Junho presented his analysis of Krath biology. They're insects, essentially. They think as a collective, but that makes them predictable. They also have weaknesses. Their exoskeletons are vulnerable to certain sound frequencies, and their compound eyes can be overloaded with specific light patterns. Engineer Sang-min had spent 3 weeks converting human industrial capacity to war production. We're retrofitting every ship in the fleet. New weapons, new armor, new communication systems. The Krath won't recognize human technology when we're done with it. What surprised the galaxy was how efficiently humans switched from peace to war. Manufacturer He Jin converted her civilian factories overnight. Workers who had been making farming equipment were suddenly producing missile guidance systems. Children's toy factories started building military drones. The human economy didn't collapse under the weight of total war preparation. It transformed. Supply chains that had carried trade goods across the galaxy now moved weapons and soldiers. Civilian ships became troop transports. Even human restaurants began producing military rations. But the most shocking thing was how patient the humans were being. Other species expected them to attack immediately, driven by rage and the need for quick revenge. Instead, humans spent months preparing, planning, and positioning their forces. Strategic Commander In-Soo coordinated the largest military operation in human history. 500 warships, 2 million personnel, and support fleets that stretched across 30 star systems. Every detail was planned, every contingency prepared for. The Krath expect us to be angry and stupid, he explained to his staff. They think we'll charge in like wild animals. Instead, we're going to be cold, calculating, and absolutely devastating. Meanwhile, Ambassador Su Young was working the diplomatic channels. She convinced the Altarian Republic to impose economic sanctions on the Krath. She persuaded the Centauri Federation to close their space routes to Krath shipping. She even got the neutral trading guilds to refuse Krath contracts. We're not asking anyone to fight with us, she told the Galactic Council. "We're just asking them not to help the Krath while they commit genocide against peaceful people." Trade Minister Jeho cut off supply lines the Krath didn't even know they depended on. Rare metals for their weapons, food supplements for their colonies, communication crystals for their ships. All of it stopped flowing to Krath space. "They've been buying from human middlemen for years without knowing it," he reported. "Now they're learning what happens when you bite the hand that feeds you." The psychological warfare was just as important as the military planning. Captain Hyun Woo led teams that broadcast messages into Krath space, telling the conquered peoples about the human fleet coming to liberate them. Rebellion began to spread on Krath-occupied worlds. The Krath leadership finally began to understand. They had made a serious mistake. Intelligence reports showed massive human fleet movements. Economic pressure was causing shortages on Krath worlds. Their own subjects were starting to revolt. Supreme General Kex 9 called an emergency war council. "How did humans become this powerful? Our intelligence said they were traitors and diplomats." "They are traitors and diplomats," replied Intelligence Director Core 7. "But they're also something else. They've been preparing for war for decades while pretending to be peaceful. Every trade route they built can move military supplies. Every diplomatic contact they made is now a potential ally. And they remember everything," added tactical analyst Vex 12. "Our archives show they've been recording every interaction with every species for generations. They know more about us than we know about ourselves." The Krath tried to negotiate, sending messages to human space, offering to release some Volani prisoners in exchange for peace talks. President Dongmin's response was short and final. "Release all Volani, withdraw from Aquatica Prime, stand trial for war crimes. These are our only terms." On the waterworld itself, the Volani prisoners whispered stories to maintain their hope. They told each other about the refugee ship New Soul and how it had been saved by Volani kindness. They spoke of humans who remembered every favor and never abandoned their friends. Commander Naraven, still chained in the underwater mining facility, heard these stories and felt her spirit strengthen. She had given up hope of rescue. But the stories reminded her of something important. Humans didn't just remember kindness, they became part of it. "Tell me again about the human children," she asked an old Volani worker. "The ones who were sick on the refugee ship." "The human doctor So Jin brought them to our medical bay," the old one whispered. "Our healers sang to them while treating their fever. One little human girl smiled and tried to sing back even though she was so sick." "That little girl," Naraven said softly. "She would be grown now. Maybe she has children of her own. Maybe she tells them stories about the blue people who helped her when she was dying." Above their heads, Krath guards patrolled the facility with increasing nervousness. They had been receiving disturbing reports. Human ships were appearing throughout their territory. Not attacking yet, just watching, waiting. The Krath were beginning to understand that they had not just attacked the Volani. They had attacked the Volani while humans were watching. And humans, as the galaxy was about to learn, took that very personally. In the depths of space, Admiral Kyung-soo stood on the bridge of his flagship New Harmony. Around him, the largest human fleet ever assembled waited for his signal. Ships from every world, crews from every colony, all united by a single purpose. "All units, this is Fleet Command," he broadcast. "Operation Deep Current begins in 6 hours. Remember why we're here. Remember who we're fighting for. And remember that the galaxy is watching to see what happens when someone hurts humanity's friends." The storm was ready to break, and when it did, it would shake the very foundations of galactic civilization. The attack came without warning, like a storm from clear skies. Commander Naraven was in the deep communication center beneath Aquatica Prime's ocean when the first explosion shook the water above her. Red lights flashed on every screen as her technicians worked frantically at their controls. "Commander," called Operator Veludin. "Massive fleet emerging from jump space. 200 ships all showing Krath battle flags." Naraven's hearts sank. The Volani had only 12 patrol vessels and 3 orbital defense platforms. They were researchers and healers, not warriors. Send immediate distress calls on all frequencies. Tell everyone who we are and that we need help. Above the ocean, Surface Fleet Marshal Gextor of the Krath led his invasion fleet like a swarm of metal insects. His ships were built for one purpose: destruction. They carried soldiers bred for war and weapons designed to break worlds. Target their communications first, he ordered. I want them silent before they can cry for help. Krath missiles streaked through Aquatica Prime's sky, turning the Vallani communication towers into twisted metal and flame. The orbital platforms lasted only minutes against the overwhelming firepower. Vallani patrol ships tried to fight, but they were like fish trying to stop sharks. Commander Naraven managed to send one last message before the deep communication center lost power. Her words went out across space on emergency frequencies, carrying the desperation of a gentle people facing extinction. This is Aquatica Prime to any who can hear us. We are under attack by the Krath hegemony. They have come without warning, without cause. We have no military that can stop them. Please, if anyone remembers the Vallani with kindness, we need help. The message reached many ears across the galaxy. Most species heard it and felt sad, but they were too far away or too weak to help. Others heard it and chose to stay out of a fight. That wasn't theirs. But on Haven's Rest in the Human Defense Command Center, Communications Officer Chan Wu heard every word. His hand shook as he forwarded the message to Admiral Ji Wu. The Admiral was in a strategy meeting when the message arrived. She listened to Commander Naraven's voice calling for help, and her face went very quiet and very still. Get me, Governor. Hei-Wan and Historian Minho, she said. Emergency meeting in 5 minutes. When they gathered in the secure briefing room, Admiral Ji Wu played the Vallani distress call. The room fell silent except for the sound of Commander Naraven's desperate voice. Historian Minho was the first to speak. 25 years ago they saved us when we had nothing. They asked for nothing in return. They gave us a new world, new hope, new life. Governor Hei-Wan nodded slowly. The debt stands. It has always stood. This could mean war with the entire Krath hegemony, Admiral Ji Wu warned. They're a major military power. We'll be fighting across multiple star systems. Then we'll fight across multiple star systems, Governor Hei-Wan said simply. Get me Fleet Admiral Kyung-Soo at Earth Command. The quantum communication link connected them to the heart of human space. Fleet Admiral Kyung-Soo appeared on screen, his weathered face serious. Behind him stood President Dong Min and the military council. Admiral, we received the Vallani distress call, Kyung-Soo said. We also know about your fleet movements toward their space. Are you requesting authorization for military action? Sir, the Vallani are under attack by the Krath hegemony. These are the same people who saved 3,000 human refugees 25 years ago. They gave us our new world. They've been helping human traders and colonists ever since, asking nothing in return. President Dong Min leaned forward. Admiral, war with the Krath will cost thousands of human lives, maybe hundreds of thousands. Are you certain this is the right choice? Historian Minho stepped into view of the camera. Mr. President, I am Minho, keeper of the colony records. I was there when the Vallani saved us. I recorded every act of kindness, every gift they gave, every life they preserved. If we abandon them now, we abandon everything that makes us human. President Dong Min was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. Send the authorization codes to all fleet commanders. Operation Deep Current is approved. We're going to war. But they were too late to stop the invasion. On Aquatica Prime, the Krath had already landed their troops. They came in massive dropships that fell like burning meteors into the Vallani cities. The Vallani tried to surrender peacefully. Elder Kelumar approached a Krath landing site with white flags and offers of negotiation. General Vex Prime himself shot the old Vallani in front of the cameras, then broadcast the execution to the entire planet. This world belongs to the Krath now, he announced. You will work in our mines. You will serve our empire. Resistance means death. The Vallani had no weapons, no soldiers, no experience with violence. They were herded into work camps and forced to dive into the deepest ocean trenches to mine precious metals for Krath weapons. The water they had loved became a prison. Thousands died in the first week. The Villani were not built for the brutal labor the Krath demanded. When they collapsed from exhaustion, Krath guards beat them. When they tried to help injured friends, they were punished. Commander Naraven was captured while trying to organize rescue efforts for trapped civilians. They chained her in an underwater mining station and forced her to watch her people suffer. "Your species is weak," General Vex Prime told her through the water-filled speakers. "This is why the strong must rule the weak. This is the natural order." But far across space, the weak were calling their strong friends home. Human ships began appearing at the edges of Krath territory. Not just the defense fleet from Haven's Rest, but vessels from every human world. Admiral Sunwoo brought the frontier fleet from the outer colonies. General Yunji led core system battle groups. Even human merchant ships were being converted into carriers and support vessels. The galaxy had never seen humans truly angry before. Other species knew them as traders, diplomats, and builders. They seemed practical and reasonable, interested in profit and progress rather than glory and conquest. But the galaxy was about to learn something important about humans. They were practical and reasonable until someone hurt their family, and they had very long memories about who their family was. Intelligence Chief Boram activated spy networks the humans had been building for decades. Suddenly, Krath communications were being intercepted, their supply lines mapped, their weaknesses cataloged. Dr. Jun Ho, humanity's leading expert on alien biology, began studying every piece of Krath genetic data the spies could steal. If humans were going to war, they would win it. Engineer Sang Min started retrofitting the human fleet with new weapons designed specifically to penetrate Krath armor and disrupt their electronic systems. Human creativity turned toward destruction was a terrible thing to see. The Krath leadership noticed the human military buildup and laughed. "Let them come," said Supreme General Kex 9. "We have conquered 12 worlds. We can handle some soft traders who think they're warriors." The Krath had no idea what they had awakened. They had attacked gentle people who helped others, and now the people those gentle souls had saved were coming home. Coming home with fire and fury and absolutely no intention of showing mercy to those who hurt their family. On Aquatica Prime, some Villani whispered stories to keep their hope alive. Stories about blue-skinned refugees who had become something more. Stories about humans who remembered every kindness and repaid every debt. Commander Naraven, chained in her underwater prison, listened to these whispers and smiled for the first time since the invasion began. The humans were coming. Operation Deep Current began at exactly 0600 hours, Galactic Standard Time, across 15 star systems simultaneously. Admiral Shung Ho led the main assault fleet against Hive Prime, the Krath military headquarters. His ships dropped out of jump, space in perfect formation, their new weapons already charging. The Krath defense fleet scrambled to respond, but human tactics were unlike anything they had ever faced. "All units execute pattern Villani 7, Sung Ho ordered calmly. The human ships moved like dancers weaving between Krath formations while their upgraded weapons tore through insect armor like paper. The Krath had expected human ships to fight. Like human traders, cautiously, defensively. Instead, they fought like human parents protecting their children. Admiral Min Jung struck the industrial centers of Krath space with surgical precision. Her stealth ships had been in position for weeks, mapping every factory, every supply depot, every communication relay. When she attacked, the Krath war machine began falling apart before they even knew they were under assault. But the most important battle was at Aquatica Prime itself. Captain Hyunwoo commanded the Liberation Fleet, and he had studied Villani culture for months to prepare. His ships carried not just weapons but underwater rescue equipment, medical supplies, and construction materials to rebuild what the Krath had destroyed. "Remember," he told his crew as they approached the water world, "we're not just here to fight. We're here to save family." The Krath orbital defenses around Aquatica Prime were strong, but they had been designed to keep enemies out, not to stop. Enemies who were willing to die to save their friends. Human ships took terrible damage breaking through the defensive lines, but they kept coming. Colonel Jin A led the first orbital assault troops down to the planet's surface. Her soldiers landed directly on the Krath command centers, moving with a fury that terrified the insect warriors. These humans fought like they had personal reasons to hate every Krath they met. And they did. Every human soldier had heard the stories of Vallani kindness. Every one of them knew that gentle blue people were suffering in the camps below. Every single one of them was fighting for family they had never met, but loved anyway. The underwater rescue was the most dangerous part. Commander Seo Jun personally led dive teams down to the mining facilities where Vallani prisoners were being held. The Krath had booby-trapped the underwater installations, planning to kill their prisoners rather than let them be rescued. Human divers disarmed the explosives, while human medics treated Vallani who had been worked nearly to death. In the deepest facility, Commander Seo Jun found Commander Naraven chained to a mining station, barely alive but still conscious. Are you really human?" she whispered in the water-filled chamber. "We are," Seo Jun replied through his diving suit's translator. "We're the children of the people you saved. We came home to save you." Naraven's eyes filled with tears that mixed with the water around her. "You remembered us. Humans remember everything important," Seo Jun said as he carefully cut her chains. "And you are the most important memory we have." Above them, the battle for Aquatica Prime was ending. The Krath defenders had expected to fight traitors and diplomats. Instead, they faced soldiers who had been trained by the best military minds, in human space and equipped with weapons designed specifically to kill Krath. General Vex Prime, who had started this war by executing Elder Kelumar, tried to escape in a personal shuttle. He was intercepted by human fighters and brought back to the surface. When the Vallani survivors saw him in chains, many of them wept. "Why?" Naraven asked him as human medics treated her injuries. "Why did you attack us? We never hurt your people." Vex Prime's compound eyes showed no remorse. "Because we are strong and you are weak. It is the natural order." Naraven looked at the human soldiers around her. These strange people who had traveled across the galaxy to save aliens they had never met. "You are wrong," she said quietly. "There is something stronger than strength. There is kindness that creates kinship. The war lasted 3 weeks total. Not 3 months, not 3 years. 3 weeks. The Krath military structure collapsed as human forces struck everywhere at once. Conquered worlds rose in rebellion when they saw that the mighty Krath could be defeated. Supply lines that had sustained the insect empire for decades were cut in 100 places simultaneously. But the speed of victory was not what shocked the galaxy. What shocked everyone was how completely the humans won and how they behaved after winning. Human occupation forces arrived on every liberated world with food, medicine, and construction equipment. They didn't conquer territories for themselves. They helped local populations rebuild their governments and defend their freedoms. Admiral Kyung-Soo himself went to the Krath homeworld to accept their surrender. Supreme General Kex-9 expected to be executed or enslaved, the way the Krath treated defeated enemies. Instead, Admiral Kyung-Soo handed him a data pad with very specific terms. Complete withdrawal from all occupied territories. War crimes trials for those who ordered atrocities, reparations for damages, and a guarantee that Vallani space will never be threatened again. "What about our people?" Kex-9 asked. "What about our worlds?" "Your people will be free to rebuild their lives in peace," Kyung-Soo replied. "We're not conquerors, we're liberators. There's a difference." The galaxy watched in amazement as human fleets withdrew from Krath space after ensuring the peace terms were met. They took no territory, claimed no resources, demanded no tribute. They had fought the most successful military campaign in recent galactic history and gained nothing from it except the safety of their friends. Dr. Yan Wu led the medical teams that spent months healing Vallani survivors. Engineer team leader Tae Young coordinated the reconstruction of Aquatica Prime cities and research facilities. Human workers labored alongside Vallani families to rebuild the underwater cities that had been damaged in the invasion. The humans refused all offers of payment or territorial compensation. When the Vallani Council tried to give them mining rights to the precious deep-sea minerals, President Dongmin politely declined. "We didn't fight for profit," he explained to the Galactic news networks. We fought for family. Family doesn't charge. Family for help. The final ceremony took place in the rebuilt central square of New Aquatica, the Vellani capital city. Commander Nara Ven, recovered from her injuries, met with President Dongmin in person for the first time. How can we ever repay this debt? She asked, echoing the words her great ancestor had heard from Captain Dae-hyun 25 years before. President, Dongmin smiled, and his words echoed across the galaxy. There is no debt between family. Your people saved ours when we needed it most. Now we've saved yours. This is simply what family does. But historian Minho, now an old man, added one final entry to the permanent records. He stood before the rebuilt Vellani fountain on Haven's Rest and spoke to the gathered crowd. Today the debt has been paid, he said. But more than that, the friendship has been proven. The galaxy has learned something important about humanity. We remember kindness, we honor our debts, and we protect those who protected us. He paused, looking up at the stars where both human and Vellani ships now traveled, safely together. The Krath learned this lesson too late. They discovered that humanity's gratitude can be as devastating to their enemies as their anger is to those who threaten their friends. Let this story be remembered. Let all who hear it understand. Humanity keeps its promises. The galaxy did remember. In the years that followed, species across the stars would tell the story of the humans who went to war not for conquest or resources, but to repay a kindness shown to refugees long ago. And whenever alien species met humans in trade, in diplomacy, or in exploration, they remembered the lesson of Aquatica Prime. Help humanity when they need it, and they will help you when you need it, no matter the cost. Hurt those who help humanity, and discover what happens when a species that never forgets decides to show you how much they remember. The Vellani had saved 3,000 human refugees with simple kindness. Those refugees had grown into 2 million humans who saved 40 million. Vellani with overwhelming force. This was the human way, this was who they were. This was why the galaxy learned to be very, very careful about how they treated humanity's friends, because mankind never overlooked a favor, and their retribution could indeed shake worlds. In the depths of Aquatica Prime's rebuilt cities, Vellani, children learned new songs. Songs about the blue-skinned people who helped lost travelers, and about the strange humans who remembered that help across the years and stars. And on Haven's Rest, human children learned the same songs, because both species understood now that some bonds are stronger than distance, stronger than time, and stronger than the fear of those who think power makes right. The universe was vast and often cruel, but it was also full of kindness that could echo across generations and friendship, that could move fleets across the galaxy to protect what mattered most: family, friends, and the sacred promise that those who help will always be helped in return.